I'm probably we're gonna practice in the parking lot, and then from there go to like probably a secondary class.
So you know about which? Have you had it for a while?
We've only had them for 2. No,
Okay.
3 weeks. Yeah, you don't want to.
Sick.
Yeah. So, because it's a good thing, we've always wanted to do it.
Yeah.
It just was never really feasible, and also motorcycles are like cheaper than I think I thought they were in my brain. Like,
Yeah.
they sell them at the price, which sounds shocking.
Yeah.
Think about cars, like there's a lot of haggling. Like you just sell
And
them.
motorcycles just like.
It's like the MSRP tag, and then they tell you like you have an import fee,
Yeah.
which makes sense.
This is what it is.
For foreign bike, and it's like, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alex is a moto person now.
Moto.
Completely new though, so like
Oh, that's
I'm not cool on it.
That's awesome.
All right.
Is Alex in the shot right now?
Yes.
Okay, so if you don't want to be on the internet, you're welcome to scoot out, but you're also welcome to stay where you are.
I think it's make dirt because I was walking in the dirt early.
I love it. All right, well, let's just come down to our backs. Come down to our backs. Just allow yourself to arrive. Just feeling the contact points of the back body on the blanket. Arms on the floor, whatever you may be on. Just, let's start with the toes and just give them a little wiggle, and then drop for a breath. And then just wiggle the feet, and then find stillness again. And we'll just move our way up. So let's just wiggle the hips. And let it drop. Fingertips. Just waking everything up a little bit. Maybe roll the wrists one direction, and then the other. Just gently allowing the head to fall right. And then allow the head to fall left. So my classes this week have been focusing on neck and shoulders, so continue in that vein. So let's just inhale. We're going to bring our arms out to a Y shape, so palms facing the ceiling. And just bring the legs about as wide as the blanket or the mat, whatever you're on. And because we know the arms are connected in the low back, almost down towards the hips, we're going to do a diagonal up slip, down slip. So as you inhale and you press the left heel towards the wall in front of you, you're going to reach the right fingertips towards the wall behind, or at that 45-degree angle behind you, or somewhere in there that's, and then you come back to neutral. And we'll take it the other way. So inhale, left hand, right foot, reach away. And exhale to come back to neutral. Pausing for a moment between sides, but on your own time, on your own breath, just taking it side to side, really allowing the leg that's not working and the arm that's not working to be loose and soft, as well as the head and the neck. And so those parts of the body We'll just go along for the ride as they do naturally. And leading, like always, with the inner edge of the heel. And I've been playing around with reaching with the pinky edge of the hand. Maybe you want to try, see what it feels like to reach with the pinky edge. Maybe see what it's like to reach with the thumb edge. Is there a difference? Does one feel more beneficial to you, or just create a different sensation? Let's go one or two more times on each side there, and then we'll just drop arms back down by the sides. Let the legs relax. All right, super simple here. Arms are going to face the ceiling. Arms are going to stay down by your sides. And leaving the arms heavy on the inhale, just reaching the fingertips down towards the same side foot. And exhaling to let those shoulders fall back to neutral. Taking it the other way when you're ready. Inhale, left fingertips reach, or right fingertips if you started on the left. And exhale to let go. Just imagine floating on some water and just allowing the water to shift the body left to right gently. Head is loose, neck is loose. Next time the right fingertips reach long, let's press again the left heel towards the wall in front of you. So we'll go opposite, leg and arm, back to that diagonal pattern. And 1, 2, 3 more times on each side, whatever feels right for you. And then we'll just let it all drop. Noticing any sensations throughout the body. Just taking note of any gripping that might be happening anywhere. Maybe asking that space if it can just let go a little bit more. All right, so this next one, as we inhale, we're going to reach the front of our right shoulder towards the ceiling. So the back of the right shoulder lifts off the ground slightly. And you exhale, just allowing the back of the shoulder to meet the ground again. Let it all go. Pause for a breath between sides. And when you're ready, take it to the other shoulder. So inhale, front of left shoulder reaches. Exhaling to drop it back down to the floor. Again, ensuring the neck and the head, really the hips here, are staying nice and soft. Eyes are soft, brows are relaxed. The next time the right shoulder reaches towards the ceiling, just bending the left knee ever so slightly. And exhaling, allowing the leg and the shoulder to fall back to neutral. And just taking it the other way. Left shoulder reaches, right knee bends. And if you recognize we're mimicking the action of walking here, out of gravity. Expand that awareness to include other areas of the body that might be engaging. What is alive when you enter this motion? What is alive at the apex of the motion? And maybe play around with reaching the heel of the down leg, so the leg that's not bending away towards that wall in front of you as you bend that opposite knee. See what that feels like. It's one of my favorite things about this practice is just the exploration that you get to do. Just learning your own body, your own patterns. And whenever you're ready, take as many more reps as you want, but when you're ready, just let it go. We bring our arms out to a T shape. And really just check your shoulders. Make sure your hands are coming out from your shoulders, not higher than that. If it's lower than that, that's reasonable. But higher than that, just really not worth it. So palms facing the ceiling. On the inhale, we're going to reach the right fingertips, allowing the right arm to slide on the floor towards the right. And exhaling to let it all drop. Then we inhale, left side, reaching those fingertips, so opening the palm, spreading the fingers, exhaling to let it go. I kind of like to think of this as like the Spider-Man move, right? So it's like the heel of the hand is open and available. Shoot that spider web. And on your own time, on breath, just moving left to right, pausing for a moment between sides. If it feels good for you or you're interested, next time one of your hands slides out, just give a little wave to the ceiling. So drawing the pinky towards the inner edge of the arm, drawing the thumb towards the outer edge of the arm. I guess that's relative depending on what position you're in. Next time the fingertips slide right, let's just take our head and turn and gaze towards our left fingertips. Just gently moving the head nice and slowly. Falling back to neutral. And then taking it the other way. So just a few more reps with the head turn for yourself. And then when you're all set, you can bring the arms down by the sides or just leave them as at the T and just rest. So gently, let's inhale both feet to the floor, knees to the ceiling. You can interlace the hands behind the head, coming to that sit-up shape. We will just move into our spine modulation 2. So on the inhale, backs of the arms press into the floor, spine arches. And on the exhale, spine rounds, head remains heavy in the hands, elbows draw together. Lift the head off the floor to whatever extent feels comfortable for you. Inhaling, arch, exhaling, to round. Moving at your own pace. We like to call it the speed of awareness. So go slow enough that you're really feeling each vertebrae as it rounds, as they round. Same on the inhale, going slow enough to notice the vertebrae as they shift. Next time you draw your elbows together and round, you bring both elbows towards one hip or the other. And exhaling back to the middle, arching. Inhaling, maybe the chin reaches towards the ceiling. And we exhale to round, draw the elbows towards the other hip. And we'll take get to 4 more reps. Just make sure your last 2 reps are up through the middle, just to find some balance. And then at whatever point you're ready to let it go, legs come long, arms back down by the sides. So let's just inhale, right foot to the floor this time, arms back out to that T. We'll move into unwinding one. So as we inhale, pressing into the inner arch of that right foot, we're going to swing the right knee across the midline of the body. Feeling the low right back arch, right hip lifting off the floor, and then we just exhale, let everything drop back to neutral. Maybe letting that right leg fall out to the right. And at whatever point you're ready for the next rep, we'll just do it again. Inhale, right knee swings. Maybe pausing for a breath or two at the apex of that movement. The next time the knee swings across, maybe see what it's like to press the right kneecap towards the wall in front of you as you reach the right fingertips away from the midline of the body, so towards the right. Continuing to add on, so we inhale, right leg swings, kneecap presses, right palm is facing the ceiling. It's going to turn thumb down to face the back of the room, and then eventually making its way towards facing the floor. May not get there. We're just doing this ring out motion. And we'll just go one or two more on this side. At whatever point you're ready to exhale, allow the right leg to come long. Just pause for 2 or 3 breaths here before taking this movement to the other side. So we inhale, left foot comes to the floor, arms out to that T. Pressing into the inner edge of the left foot, swinging the left knee across the midline, left low back arches. Exhaling, dropping back to neutral. Inhaling, swinging the knee across. Really inhale fully into that low belly. Fill up the cylinder of the torso. Continuing on your own time, your own breath. At whatever point you want to include the reaching of the left fingertips. Maybe the ringing action felt great for you and you want a few more reps of that. You can turn the left thumb down towards the ground, left palm towards the back of the room. Eventually, the pinky edge is making its way towards the floor directionally. Just go one or two more times here, as I'm very aware that I'm running out of time. And whenever you're ready, allowing the left leg to drop long, arms will come back down by your sides. And we just pause, notice, sense, feel what's happening, what's alive in the body now. Taking a deep inhalation into the low belly, pausing at the top. Fully exhaling, allow the belly to soften. Knowing that there's no rush to go anywhere, take the time you need. And we'll be back in, well, about 11 minutes for some meditation and Dharma. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you feel good. How's it going? You're good. Good to see you. You too. officially summer?
So
Your summer. You love
summer day, yeah.
Yeah. you love summer. Your edition has that. Classes are done? Nice. Good for you. Oh, yeah.
They sleep in them.
Got that. So I've got that monkey with the hammer in its hand.
That's why I was like, oh, I think there's that with the stream.
Should I end it and start it again?
Good, I think there's something about the chat.
Mm,
When the chat's so good.
correct. All right.
But that might be good stuff.
Yeah. It's fine.
There's always something to navigate with the online world.
Constant.
Constant thing. Constant thing.
You get that up with it, you can always do a Discord. It's pretty easy. But we were in Discord. So, I mean, I know it started like where you got to do the gaming stuff, but like it might be easier to do this. So you can create like chat channels and community stuff here, but it's also really easy to stream. So you just need a camera.
I agree, Discord is amazing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Why are we not using that?
Why is this the first time I've ever even heard of it?
Why is
I do feel like it just gets like the gamer side of things, but like there are crafty Discords. If you ever have your shitty Discord, I mean, yeah.
Is it hard to get people to see it because it's specific, like?
Maybe
it's pretty.
free app. So I mean,
You just share it with the people with.
You share the link.
I'm not sure about just sharing the link. Like they might have to have the app. I'm not sure because I've never done.
You can use it on the desktop too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean I've used it on my desktop and used it on my phone.
Why is it better? Different than?
I personally just find it really easy to navigate. But I mean, I can show you my phone. Yeah, it's just like a bit easier to stream. I think there's not a ton of settings.
Good to know.
But yeah, I find it to be simpler. Yeah, it's just like share your screen or whatnot, or like you can just. I feel like there's different streaming options. I am what you would call a newbie on Discord. I'm not like anybody. I just know of it and I've used it like.
Cool. We'll look into it.
And they just. Just like one person.
Yes, too.
Oh, we're sorry to introduce
You saw the top of a very mindful hair. Yeah, you're kind of, well, we're getting. It's challenging, but. Well, yeah, so.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
What do you think?
Yeah.
It's a sweet little book, yeah. Good.
You started it?
I did, and then I wanted to read all day, but I haven't.
Yeah, it's a good
I
one.
actually got the Barnes and Noble for the
Hello.
one with the crown,
Good.
something shy of the crown.
Walking
The
from.
second one.
The second one.
Connection.
Yeah, supposedly it like kind of follows.
Yeah.
I think they hear those
Good for
words,
you.
it follows nicely after the first
Mm.
one.
Hello.
Yeah, there is.
You're welcome to
Thank
hang
you for
out.
the invitation.
Of course.
Something like crown and shy, like shy of the crown.
It can be next to the camera, just don't touch it.
I'm probably gonna read that.
I like your corduroy
Goes
button,
right into
button down,
Thank
looks
you.
nice.
Thank you.
Very, velvet looking. That's nice, that's soft. Very soft. I
Corduroy wear, I'm sure.
love a good corduroy, but
Whoa.
Whoa.
jackets are.
Good.
Hi, how are you, Ashley?
Summer here for you now? Summer's here. All right.
Shouting it from the mountaintops with the outfit.
Yeah. Well, that's
Right. You can tell. You can tell when David's done with class.
Academic year is over. I mentioned the court when I was back in Utah. Logan, I found an insight group there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fun. Yeah, it's yoga studios.
Steve,
Had my
Butcher.
coffee at this coffee place. in this Cute neighborhood in Logan.
Yeah.
And I saw this man walking barefoot
Mhm.
down the
Very
street
cool. That's a good sign.
with some tomato starters.
Mm.
He looked at me, and I looked at him. He's connected, got engaged in the conversation,
And then you spent.
and talked for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And asked him if he knew Sanghas. And he's like, we have one here at our yoga studio
Yeah.
on Sundays.
Nice.
So
There you go.
I did a sit on Sunday in Logan.
You always run into the thing. Put yourself in an opportune position,
Yeah,
you know?
it's a nice experience.
Cool.
Good balance from the other stuff we get.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome.
Here, we can maybe make one more spot count. You want to slide over. It's up to you.
You have participants?
No, doesn't matter. The
Sometimes.
show must go on.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Yeah.
The last week we had 3.
You had 3?
Yeah, we had 3 last week.
Wow. How was the experience on?
We
brought in a
We brought in some words.
It was hard to hear words.
Hell, you want to slide down? I think we're on something else.
I just heard headset, so they're.
I don't know. Courtney asked to run in the circle, so that's why I said so.
Following instructions.
I know, yeah.
We'll
Danny,
follow
I
her
was
over
thinking
here.
too, I'm like sitting right over here.
You're just trying to get me over the spot. aren't you?
No, no.
Just like, come sit over here.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah, just go into full producer mode. Perfect. That's every. Isn't that what everybody's trying to not do in here? Be in producer mode? Yeah. Great to see all of you. How's everybody doing tonight? Can you hear me okay? Is this a okay volume? Sometimes my voice tends to drop too, so, and it's also like, I've noticed that it's at a pitch that seems to be challenging. It's like low enough that is hard to hear, but also high enough that it's hard to hear. So it's just in that perfect pitch where I can move through a room and nobody will hear anything that I say. Great. All right. So yeah, how are we feeling? How's everybody's day been? How's the week been? We could do the yeah. Kathy's feeling great. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we're in the top half, so that's good. All right. Well, we'll sit for just a few minutes and give ourselves some time to arrive, and then I'll offer a few reflections. I'll probably ask for your your reflections too, if you have any to offer. Then we'll have a little bit of a longer sit again. So finding something that feels very comfortable. And really let yourself be totally comfortable. So if that means at some point that you need to change the position that you're sitting in, or to lie down, or to move in some way, then that's totally fine. I am certainly not judging you at all, and I don't think anybody else will either. So, and if they do, it's their problem. Just finding something that feels really good to you. Letting the eyes closed if that's comfortable, or maybe keeping the eyes slightly open. And stepping into this invitation of arrival. What does that feel like? What is that feeling of feeling the body come into space, feeling the mind come into space, the heart? Welcoming yourself physically. And with that, we bring our whole life with us. So you might be on a little bit of a high right now, or you might be in a little bit of a low. Wherever the swell is catching you in this moment, you can welcome that as well. And often it's helpful to sense into the body. Feel into the contact points of the seat and the legs. To notice what feels stable and supported. And to maybe even pose the question to yourself, how do I know that I'm here? How do I know this body is in space? This space, with these friends in this Sangha. You can feel that sense of orienting happening. Orienting by a sound, maybe it's moving through touch, taste, your smell, your seeing. course, this sense of orienting by thinking, by emotions, by imagery, remembering, reflecting, projecting. All of the activities of the mind. So as we continue to welcome ourselves here, inviting the container, just the body to be a little more present, so sensing into the margins of the body, the borders. Noticing the skin, maybe even the clothing touching the skin. The air sweeping past. All of this happening in this body. This body that feels and senses. This body and its being that is nature. Allow ourselves to relax, inviting that. Letting go of the gripping around the eyes, the gripping of the shoulders, the arms. The bracing of the stomach. All of these ways that we anticipate. Just resting in this container. Sensing. Receiving. The breath, sensation, thought. Continuing, right? Just continuing to let yourself rest and receive, shifting as you need to. Good. One of the aspects of this practice that I find compelling is because this is a little bit of my personality bent, and it's the existential nature of it, of course. I think you end up here, you don't end up in this room unless you have a little bit of an interest in that. And yeah, and in Buddhist cosmology, I reference this frequently for myself, and I bring it in here quite often too, that the human realm has just enough dukkha, just enough stress and suffering and strife, and just enough ease. It's like the conditions are really perfect to awaken. The other realms don't have that potential. The Deva realm, which is like the celestial beings, where everything feels wonderful and great all the time, there's not the chance to awaken in that realm. And similarly, in the hell realms, it's too much. There's too much happening, too much stress, too much suffering. So the potential's not there. But here in the human realm, we have the ability. And I like to remind myself of that when I am in weeks where there seems to be a lot of stress and dukkha happening. If the being was designed for like perfect patience everlasting amounts of courage. Just, humans would not be it. Certainly not me. That patience gene was not something that was ever passed down to me, so it's something that I continue to have to remind myself of very often. But this practice, right, mindfulness, many teachers use some other language for it. And I just heard this, so loving awareness is something that is often used. I often use just awareness, but loving awareness as a word that's synonymous, or as words that are synonymous with mindfulness. And within that, right, just loving awareness, that attitude where nothing is inappropriate, nothing is wrong with whatever's happening in our current experience. No emotion is misplaced, no thought is wrong, too much. Right? There's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with this being that is inherently nature. And we receive it within loving awareness. And so if we consider that the arc of this practice is really to more fully embody loving awareness, what's that feel like? Take the pressure off just a little bit. This idea of awakening, this idea of enlightenment, or for many of us to kind of like lose the thread, we lose the aspiration of that in the nitty gritty, in the fixing and the details and the conceptualizing and the trying to figure out how do we stay with the breath over and over and over, or how do we wrestle the mind into submission, or how do we understand these 7 factors of awakening in a way where all of a sudden we will be suffused with them without actually embodying them. Just this very soft, receptive, kind, and caring sense that the heart starts to attune to. How beautiful, how special that is. I was listening to a talk by a psychiatrist who's a really brilliant person, brilliant speaker. And so I apologize for any of the therapists or people who know this better than I do if I come with this, but it's always the danger of bringing it into this space, right? But yeah, I remember when my sister was pregnant with my nephew, I remember her reading a book called The Fourth Trimester. And this, I mean, it was many years ago now, I was 13, I think, this summer. And being really intrigued by the idea that we're born too early. Right? It's like we're pushed out of the oven a little underbaked. And the ripening process has to happen after we're already in this world. So we're like these slimy little creatures that are still gestating outside of the womb. And so the parent's attunement really is the only thing that the baby's regulation comes from. And my goodness, like, if only all parents were perfect all the time, would that be phenomenal? Were your parents perfect? Mine were not. Mine were very good, but they were not perfect. And then around 4 or 5, we kind of start to develop this sense of in here and out there, right? So this sense of like, I am this being, and this is where my margins are. And everything that's happening outside of these margins is out there, right? So we have the sense of subject and object. And so part of that story, of course, the story that we develop from being these little, I imagine like the maybe Alien movies where you're in, I don't know, I went through a real sci-fi phase, where you're like gestating in like a bath, and you're in your little pod. So like that. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought with that, and it's just so exciting for me. So fun. Yeah, so we are, with this like pushing out, it's like we have no defense system. We're just like defenseless little creatures, of course. And so such a big motivator for us, of course, is fear. We're trying to figure out like what is safe? Where are we getting safety from in all times? And we're doing that from an extremely young and extremely impressionable age. So then we come into this more like subject-object type orientation to our own life and to the people around us. And that fear continues to be a way that we're navigating. So all of this to say that our sense of self is not a cause, really, it's an effect. Okay? It's an effect. And that sense of navigating through the world, which we call Vedana or Vedana in this practice, okay? This feeling tone, where something happens and all of a sudden there's like, we hear a loud noise. Right? Or like the birds from last week, we hear the birds chirping away, and there's some kind of like, that happens in the body, either pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. And from that, thoughts develop, right? We make meaning from these feelings that we have, these feelings that land in us. And so thinking is really a response. Like we can think of Vedana as feeling tone as an alarm, and thinking as a response to that alarm system. So it's really another way of orienting, it's a way of navigating. Just trying to figure out, right, is there a threat somewhere, is there opportunity somewhere? I've been talking a lot about the lizard brain. I think a lot of you that have like multiple different communities that we're a part of. And I can't remember what I write in any of these particular emails, but the lizard brain, we're all wired into the survival mode in our very deepest core of our being, because we have to survive. We're beings, we're part of nature. And it's easy to forget that because we are so human-centric, we're so dominant in our own story, we're so dominant in the culture that we live in that we forget, and somehow nature feels like out there, right? Versus us also being a part. So what we're cultivating in here, like the sense of loving awareness, is actually quite foreign to our systems. And that's why we have to train. That's why we have to put a little effort in. What does that effort look like? What does it look like? We often do this practice the same way that we do everything else in our life. Because of course, how else would we approach it? We do it with a sense of trying to figure out where the threat is, where the opportunity is. And we feel that within thinking. So sometimes, I think I was talking about this a few weeks ago, sometimes thinking is so beautiful, like we love it, right? When those thoughts are creative, when they're inspiring, when those thoughts are full of love or excitement and they're motivated by those feelings. And when they're not motivated by those feelings, then they feel very different, and they're challenging and hard. And we get into the whirlpools of both. So it's not that thinking itself is an issue, right? If you take nothing else from this month, thinking is not an issue. Thinking is what the mind does. But our response to it, the reactions that we have to it, the container in which we hold those thoughts, that's really what we're learning to expand, what we're learning to hold, so we create more capacity. This fluctuations of mind don't necessarily just stop, but the container that we hold them in gets bigger. So this is like samadhi, right? So samadhi is this like beautiful fruit on the tree that we're always kind of reaching for, grasping after, and that we often think of as being like a collectedness of mind, this real narrow aperture of the mind. But that can only exist if it is also held within a larger context of equanimity, a larger context of spaciousness and okayness with what is happening. Right? The mind can collect in any environment. Samadhi is available because samadhi is not a thing, right? Samadhi is a way of relating to the moment. Well, any object is worthy of your attention. Any object is worthy of our loving awareness. And thinking can certainly be a part of that. So I wanted to bring in the practice that I think was maybe a little challenging from a few weeks ago. And that's to just allow thinking to happen. So while you're sitting here, let your thinking happen. Let the mind do what the mind is going to do. And we can notice, right? It's such a rich place. Because as soon as awareness arises again, and it will, because you all have at least some amount of practice and some amount of momentum of practice. So as awareness arises again, and even without practice, all of a sudden it's kind of like driving a car. You know how you can like be driving down a long stretch of road, and it's like you haven't been paying attention to anything, and all of a sudden you're at a stoplight. You're like, oh wow, I'm a half mile further than I thought I was, and it's like, oh, that moment of awareness rises again. So this is like thinking, right? Thinking will happen, and we'll forget that thinking is happening. And in that moment, when awareness arises again, that's such an interesting moment to learn from. It's so rich because we can feel the response. We can feel how we relate to what's happening in the mind. Is there aversion there? Is there craving there? Is there confusion? And we get to know these things. And that's how we start to untangle this big knot of how we're relating to the mind and the mind activities. How does that sound? You get to just relax. You don't have to try very hard. Isn't that great news? So good. So good. You don't have to try very hard. I think it's funny when we, meditation, it's like, oh, I come to meditation because I want to learn how to be. And then we spend our meditation practice trying to grind it out. Push the mind, push the body. We learn a new way of being. We learn a new way where we offer space, where we offer this loving awareness, we offer kindness. And even if that's just in the posture and really letting yourself soften into your posture, wonderful. And just feel that. Just feel that. So we'll have a little bit of a longer sit. And again, feel free at any point if you need to shift positions, and that's totally fine. So maybe just continuing on, noticing those deeper breaths, noticing the sighs and the yawns that happen. What would it be like to not have to fix whatever's happening right now. And by fix, we can maybe explore that as trying to change something, trying to make it better, trying to make it go away, trying to make it different. And we can also interpret that as fixing, trying to hold on to, fixing the moment. So we soften into this body, these beautiful, soft, natural animal bodies. We soften into the breath. And we allow the sense doors to receive as they will. So no need to push away hearing, no need to push away smelling, push away seeing, tasting, feeling. It's like slipping into a nice, perfectly temperatured bath. Or maybe you prefer a shower. Allowing yourself to just soak in that loving awareness. And then inevitably the opportunity arises. All of a sudden, awareness is there again. You've been thinking. Just noticing our relationship to that. We don't have to change the relationship. That will untangle on its own. really sense what this feeling of loving awareness is. The quality is that maybe we can sense it somewhere in the body. If so, where is that? How is that? Just as we've attuned to maybe the body as a refuge, or the breath as a refuge, or thinking as a refuge, from all the uncertainty. We start to orient to awareness as a refuge. Just noticing if there's some tightening, bracing against this moment. Possibly as we begin to touch into a little more stillness through the body. We naturally, sooner or later, be much later. You start to feel the mind slows, the momentum of the mind starts to slow. And you notice that you feel a little threatening. It's less familiar territory. So you feel maybe the impulse or the urge to think or to fix or to manage. Somehow direct the show. Now we can step back, we can sit back, rest back. Allow ourselves to be a spectator, not to be a director. story is very compelling. The planning. Sometimes the remembering of images, creativity. Things can be placed in rapture. Just notice when this is happening. Just enough to feel the potential thinking mind or activity of mind. So let that be enough. you start to sense into these inherent characteristics of experience and the shifting kind of sands of mind and personality and this experience is happening, right? The fact that we can't hold on to the things that feel really great. We can't seem to avoid or get rid of or manage our way out of it. It's very challenging. And we don't have control. I think it's really like this practice is really a lot about just acclimatizing to that and opening into more spaciousness around that. I was out in our backyard. We just spent a lot of time in this spring planting, biting, and like defining the beds and the back of our yard, which was a very big mess. We did for our house. And there's always this sort of like a metaphor, a meditation of like caring for the garden of the mind. And this weekend it kind of struck me, I was like, but what about the gardener? What does the gardener get? All those qualities that the gardener perceives, like, oh, doing something, not having control over when it moves. Learning that patience, learning that perseverance, that courage, that faith, really, the trust that if you plant it, if you care for it, then it will grow. And you continue to cultivate. You'll have a thing that is beautiful. And you as the gardener are also becoming more beautiful in that process. So it's that feeling of like this thing being outside of us again. I think that's how we think of the mind too. It's like this thing that is somehow in us that we have to deal with, but it's not really ours. It's like we just don't have. It's all here. It's all here. So just opening up, if anybody has any additional things you'd like to add or reflections of your own or questions to bring in, then of course just give me a couple of minutes to do that. And no pressure either. Maybe you need to raise your hand and just speak. Just keep resting. Keep resting. It's a nice place to be, isn't it?
Wonderful metaphor and how sometimes you cultivate the physical garden and nothing happens. And nature, like that nature thing too. And the idea of holding those that we wrote about 50 speaks, it's like, and those times, like, I'm still being cultivated. Like, putting so much work into this garden, the groundhogs or the whatever, where like the sun didn't fall, or like my neighbor moved the tree, or in my case this year, I've done precisely 0 things because I live with long COVID, and so I kind of never know how much energy there will be unless you're done precisely no things yet, and people keep coming over and commenting on your items. And it's just like, just
mother-in-law died 11 years ago, and he would just potter around his garden, just planting things, no rhyme or reason. And so when he died, he went over to England to like help my mother-in-law and get everything ready. The garden was like filled with, like he would just like attach a weight to a tree so it would grow the right way. It was just this hodgepodge of stuff that he was just tinkering with. And there was no, it was beautiful, but there was absolutely no sense that he had an end goal. He was just going out there every day to potter in the garden because that's just what he loved to do. And when he always said, when I die, just sprinkle me on with roses. And so that's what we did. Some roses, sprinkled him with roses. So now he literally is doing it. And as you it's like the beauty of the garden convinces itself that it's not enough. We could just be with it.
Just a few things to wrap up here. If you are announcements, if you will, somehow this is a big weekend for the Sangha. So we have tomorrow evening, if you're so interested, there's a clothing swap here in this space. Start at 7:15ish, go whenever, stay however long, super casual. As you might imagine by the word swap being in the title. So yeah, welcome to Rickfest. Really, it's just totally open. This was kind of like a win type thing that a couple of people in the Sangha and in the yoga school really wanted to do. So it's like, all right, let's make it happen. So that's happening. And then on Saturday in the smaller group room, which is down at the end of the hallway, with the like pattern chairs in it, we'll have the Dharma book club, or book group, like say club, Dharma book group. It's very casual. We don't like to make anybody feel like they have to commit to anything. I know that's hard. I know that's hard for all of us. So yeah, feel free. That'll be at 10 a.m. And yeah, Liza and Danny will be here at least. So come enjoy them. If you haven't read the book, who cares? You're welcome to just come and hang out. There's usually a little bit of a sit with that as well. And then that's it. Yeah. And then retreat in October. But you guys don't know about all this stuff. So if you have any questions, reach out. The channels are all open. So happy to see all of you. So happy that you're here, whether you're new or established here, or another. So you've been around a long time. It's great. So ever evolving place. So happy to see you.
I guess just the only other thing would be that this weekend there are events all weekend here in this space, opening the space, which is what this group is called, the Collective Working Group. So, yeah, check it out. I think they've got a website that is actually posted to the front door now.
Mhm.
So if you're interested in anything that might be happening here, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Stuff going on. So.
It's good to sit with all of you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your practice. Keep going.
You got the Donna bucket out?
Oh yeah, Donna bucket is out. The decoupage Donna bucket. Decoupage kimchi bucket. It's out. Just over here by the register on the corner there. So yeah, there's a QR code on that. If you're a gun mower or a little ragged slit cut in the top, if you were a cash person. And thank you for supporting the Sangha and for supporting us.
I have an addendum to the book club.
Yeah.
If you have Kindle Unlimited, it is free on there. And you can have that. wild though, it's all it's great. I don't know from the end.
Thanks, Alex.
Midnight.